I need a halo for this morning. She's like, I have gold pipe cleaners in my office.
I saw it.
We know.
Yeah, of course you did.
Of course you did. It would be the
Perfect.
light. Yeah. Yeah.
Cinco Minutos working parts.
Oh.
That's an easy.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
There we go.
Getting a little structure around here.
I usually will trim my beard on Sunday mornings. I don't know, there's something about the guards that I used today that just felt like a little bit longer than usual. So it's like, yeah.
Can you hear us?
Judy was the name one.
Yeah.
Mentioned that family advent already. Yeah, you should do
She wanted me.
I usually in that, just because there's so many things to mention, we'll just look at this.
Yeah.
But it's that I don't want to mention one, but then not mention
The others.
yeah. But I
Anyway, we
I
know
will atone for it later.
at 5 today,
With Julie, yeah.
Yeah, of course you will.
family advent celebration. You want to-
Yes, family advent, yes.
These spectacles you got on.
Thank you.
They new.
They are, but they're fake because they're blue light blocking ones, so like I'm just a little bit of a headache starting, and so usually that's something like that.
Just be mindful of the chat. Yes, that's something in the chat.
Great, can y'all see that too?
Yeah.
Okay, if y'all see something go up in the chat, you feel free to
Yeah.
flag it down for me,
Okay,
because
do that.
yeah, sometimes I'm afraid.
That's
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to wonderful worship. Thank y'all again for being here.
Yeah.
Before we get started on our board, I wanted to follow up from some discussion notes that we had from last week. Last week, we did a little bit of conversation around the Virgin Mary.
Yes.
And for our kind of devotional beginning, I wanted to bring a couple icons of the Virgin just for you all to consider. Hi, Kitty. Hey, Carolyn.
It is not.
Yeah.
Your mom's not on the screen.
It's to me.
She didn't turn her video on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But when she
There
does,
he
she
is. There he is.
So this morning I brought a couple icons for us
yes.
just to be able to think about and kind of note the difference of. This particular icon of the Virgin is in a Roman Catholic style. This is Our Lady of the Presence. So that is the title of this this icon. This is the Armenian Orthodox version of the same icon. This one was done by a local sacred manuscript illuminator named Tatiana Nikolova Houston, who attends St. Elias downtown. But she's an icon artist. This other icon is actually, this other depiction of Our Lady of the Presence is another one of my favorites. And this artist who does kind of line-a-cut titled this Mary the Unburnt Bush.
Oh.
So if you think about the burning bush and the unburnt bush, I just thought that is such a fascinating title of address to give Mary. So if these icons are Our Lady of the Presence, so the presence of quiet Christ, the indwelling, the incarnation. Years ago in youth group, I had the youth collect as many Black Friday shopping advertisements that they received in the mail at home. And they brought them all up to the youth room. And for like, I don't know, it ended up being like 3 months to do this. But they created this icon.
Oh. Oh.
Our Lady of the Presence.
Oh, presents.
The Presence. Can you all see that on screen?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, so these are all of the Black Friday shopping ads that they got at home. But one of the things about an icon is, we often think that we view an icon and that we take from it the story, the symbols, all of that. But there is a reverse of that where the icon reads us. The icon examines us. And so one of the important things with every icon is the eyes. And so the amount of time the youth took to find the right eyes for this icon was really beautiful. Yeah.
I hope they're all going to heaven.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where do you keep that? Do you?
This is actually hung upstairs in the spirituality studio. The face of Mary is a whole bunch of different women's faces. And all skin tones and shades. So there's a lot that's packed in this. There's like, and then the words that they, extra savings, fuel the joy, only once a year, do yourself a favor, which makes me think of the hymn from last week, most highly favored lady, or as some of the children say, most highly flavored lady. There you go.
John, that needs to be shared. And then in our minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pastor Crystal and I, once the youth had gotten like 90% of the way, we filled in just the rest and then kind of did the lining in kind of that black
Yeah.
string. But these icons are all theological depictions of what we read in scripture. But these are by far not the earliest representations that we see of the Virgin Mary in art. One of the earliest, most ancient depictions is the Virgo Lactans, which is the nursing Madonna. And there is a church in the Trastevere district of Rome where this image is engraved on the tympanum above the door. And it is an image of Mary with Christ at the breast, and she is nursing the infant Christ. And so this icon was deeply held within the church as an image of the provision of God, the salvation of God, and the deep irony and juxtaposition of this virgin birth. And so I just love kind of when we put all of these images together, we begin to form kind of a visual theology of what we think and what we believe about who Mary was. So I just wanted to bring that this morning as kind of a devotional start to the day. I'm happy to also pass any of these around if y'all would like to, or I can just leave them up here.
John, have you, I know it's come out recent on Netflix, it's called Mary.
My mom
just saw it.
texted me about that,
In the
like,
middle of football yesterday, I
I
needed
did
a
see
break. So I got on Netflix and I watched it.
okay,
It's very, I thought it was very good. Of course, it's a little, there's a few modern places in it, but basically it's good. And if you haven't seen on Facebook,
Mhm.
there's a children's story of how they think the birth took place and how Mary heard about it.
Oh, is this the Australian kids?
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell. I mean,
Okay,
does it say they're Australian?
there's one where they're speaking in such a strong Australian accent,
No.
and it's really sweet.
This
John.
was sent from a friend of mine. But it is absolutely, it's
Okay.
on my Facebook.
Okay, I'll look it up there, yeah.
Nobody has looked at it. Yeah.
Joshua, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, she took the words out of my mouth. Mary on Netflix is my wife started to watch it yesterday. It's not children friendly, evidently. And And she said it's a bizarre story that she'd never heard before about Mary. And she said, it reminded her of art that we had seen down at the Blanton a couple of years ago, which is the presentation of Mary to the temple as a child and raised in the temple. And she says, I don't really know where that story is. And so I shared with her, and for those of you who decide to watch it, that the tradition of Mary that is being represented in that film is from the Apocrypha. And I believe that is from the Proto-Evangelium of James. Which would make sense, that story makes sense in a Catholic tradition. And that, and which is, it's included in the Catholic Apocrypha. But there isn't any, other than that book in the Apocrypha, there isn't any other really kind of historical verifying. But it is a different theology from the Mary that we're familiar with the four Gospels and the Mary that's presented in the film. So just a mindful little note about that.
Thank
Have you read any of that legend?
Any of that.
I haven't done a whole lot of work in the Apocrypha.
But there's also, there's a book of Mary that was not ever included in the Bible.
The Gospel of
The
Mary.
Gospel of Mary, wonder if that might be in there.
There's the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene and Mary, yeah.
Yeah, those are part of the Apocrypha. Thank you.
Make the cut.
Okay, so let's begin with our reflection process today. If you take a moment to recall the worship experience that we just had, this act of primary liturgical theology, this encounter with God. What did you see? What did you see? Or hang on, something in chat. Will you take photos of? Yes, absolutely, we will. What did you see? Laurel.
I saw my dada,
Okay.
but it's not, but you are definitely not my dada, right?
Because you were the angels.
Oh, I was the angel. Okay.
Hey, you're not my dada.
Okay, yeah, so let's say an angel.
AKA dada.
Yes.
Okay.
What else did we see today?
I saw the Christmas I don't remember that the lights were on last week.
Oh, great.
But the greenery was all lit up. today.
Yeah.
They hung that, well, that's why they were the banners, the greenery.
I noticed that those were lit up today too.
Yes.
So Advent is a preparatory season, but in the tradition of the church, it's also a penitential season. So much like Lent is also a penitential season. And I think it's always interesting that we decorate for the holidays during Advent, but we don't decorate for the Easter holidays during Lent. And I mean, that by the time Christmas comes, we have heard all of the Christmas carols 100,000 times. I mean, it just makes sense. But in the medieval church, they would, Advent was a time of austerity, right? And so they would put up the greens on December 24th and then keep them throughout the 12 days of Christmas through the season of Epiphany to the Feast of Candlemas. So in your Hope planning calendars, there is the Sunday of Candlemas that is listed there, and that in the medieval church was the end of the Christmas cycle. And on Candlemas, that would be when people would bring their oil or candles from home, and there would be a blessing of the lights, which, was this deep, beautiful tradition back when we relied on fire and flame to illuminate our homes. But there's something lost in the blessing of the light bulbs. that just doesn't like
Yeah.
land kind of the same way. So we don't typically observe Candlemas, but that is the technical end of the Christmas cycle.
And that sometimes coincide with the start of Lent.
There's usually some distance, but some years there's only about 12 days of separation between.
Chuck's mother used to sing a Danish song, and I can't recall all of it, but the words meant Christmas lasts till Easter. That was again, something possible. And it was that Christmas lasted till Easter, and I've always thought that was kind of an interesting song to sing that anyway. They used to sing it around the Christmas tree. As Chuck remembers, I think.
What else did we see today?
No.
I'm just gonna blurt out, cause I saw poinsettias.
Yeah, the poinsettia trees,
Poinsettia trees.
poinsettia trees. A lot of red.
I have to remark about the return of the blue sparkly scarf under the creche. It was missing last year, but it's back.
Okay,
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I saw the crash.
what was there oh, nope, yeah, great. So the blue,
It's special. And along with that, the tree skirt under the Christmas tree appeared.
Mm.
and
Was not there last year. It was told. I was there last year.
It was there.
Mm.
but it wasn't there last
what are the
year.
two animals required to make it an official nativity scene?
Donkey.
It's a sheep and a donkey
A lamb
It is a donkey
and a lamb.
and a lamb.
and, hang on. Yeah, a donkey and a
Donkey
lamb.
and a lamb or sheep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know where the cow came from, but
Either.
She just lived there.
Saint Francis of Assisi was the first to put a nativity scene in a church. And Francis built that first nativity scene under the altar. And so there's that image again of the table of Christ as the eating place, the manger. And so Francis brings these live animals into the church, and you can imagine, that was kind of a thing. But yeah, so that's where we get these nativity scenes, these creche scenes in churches. Laurel.
What do
Greens.
you mean? Is what you mean by greens is like money?
No, so the garland, like the evergreen, like the Christmas tree and the garlands and the wreaths, like the evergreen stuff.
Oh, now that makes sense.
What else did you see today?
Tulip candles.
Candles? Which candle did we light today?
Hope,
We did
kindness,
hope and peace.
Hope and peace.
And
love,
the wreaths on
church,
the.
fish.
The wreaths.
The wreaths.
Oh, okay, I'm going.
Awesome. What else did you see today?
All the children came up and sat in choir.
And thank you, choir, for letting me,
Oh, that was.
I'm surprised you didn't make us burst out in song.
You ate
Did they know you were going to do that?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, Kathy did. I did clear that with Kathy before.
It's all the procession of the crucifer.
Mhm. So we had the crucifer carrying the processional cross down.
And the stole that the carrier and crucifer was wearing.
Mhm. Is that it?
Okay, nice.
The people doing the,
Dad, do you
people
like
doing the
hamsters?
lighting of the candle.
People doing the lighting of the candle.
Looked like probably a mother and a grandmother.
And we saw the people.
Mother and son, and then I think they're.
We saw the people.
The people, yep.
Was a new person I hadn't met
Or who was a new person
on my pew,
on your pew?
and
Yeah.
for the life of me, I can't remember her last name, but
Jones.
yes, I had not met her.
Anything else that we saw today?
All the people in the congregation.
Looking down from.
Yeah.
Choir roll.
What did you hear today?
I didn't think we heard beautiful music.
They're quiet.
The
I
choir.
heard that, I heard that some of our rhythms had been
Okay, it's trying to say something.
with the season.
Say it
Some of
again.
our songs that we sing, I can't remember, like the ending song, like the verses have been changed to fit with the season.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were, because they weren't our
Doxology.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good preaching.
The clip clop of shoes after children's sermon.
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
Some were running.
I was close enough to hear your daughter sing the words to the song that you said hadn't been written yet.
Yeah,
Singing La La La, and she was singing
the
Glory.
Gloria, yeah.
I think a lot of us were humming along.
Uh-huh.
Not to sing.
You were gonna have us singing, that was kind of
I think you
disappointing.
should.
Good. I'm glad it was disappointing, yeah. So kind of the message I was working there is like, angels are messengers of God, and they receive kind of their words from the mouth of God. And so I just like this image of this eternally rehearsing choir just waiting to hear what they are rehearsing for. I just, there's something about that is just, I don't know, I mean, it's all made up in my theological imagination, right? Like, you know, but, you know. What else did you hear today?
Heard Monica Johnson's.
Yes.
It's not this kid, is it? It's just the higher registry.
No.
That just single, years ago, we went to go see the Royal Scots Dragoon when they came through Austin, and it's 100 bagpipers, full marching band. I mean, the volume of sound is profound. And in that whole band, there's one piccolo. Because that is all you need, just that one single tiny, yeah, anyway, that's the instrument that her voice kind of called to mind, is just that clear high. Anything else you've heard today? Yeah.
Those are brave.
I always appreciate like when Karen got up and was like, "The Lord's name be praised," and then she caught it, and then she just laughed at, you know, and I so appreciated that moment of laughter. You know, and it's just that.
Actually, Josh build that out. You answered for that.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I love the story of Noam and Ruth.
Yes.
That was good. It's one of my favorite stories.
As Josh was reading that scripture, it reminded me in the first chapter of Matthew that of the 4 women who are mentioned in the genealogy of Christ, Ruth is one of the 4.
I heard the word pronounced today, Naomi, and I have always thought it was Naomi, but I'm wrong. I guess I heard, I wasn't sure of which was the correct, but
Because we're from the Midwest.
we know, I say Naomi. But
I
it
know
might be
that's
Naomi.
Naomi and you know,
Naomi.
free so.
Naomi.
No.
I am not sure what that character is in the Hebrew,
I'm
but
not sure.
I'm looking it up.
but yeah, it's
Well, that's a special Hebrew.
There's a pro tennis player named Naomi Osaka, but all the broadcasters, some say Naomi, some say Naomi, so it's still going on today.
She's still going.
She's a tennis professional.
Lorelai, what did you hear?
Myself say stuff in in front of the choir.
Yeah.
I mean, not choir, PEOPLE.
In front of the people.
Yep.
She spoke.
So we hear the prayers we say ourselves.
I said it.
I think she heard herself speaking to us.
Mhm.
She did.
Good.
She's on her tiptoes.
What did you touch?
Papers.
Papers,
Hymn,
You know the.
the hymn, the Bible.
paper, and books. Or
The folder.
your choir folder,
People's hands when we were passing the peace and a hug.
Hugs.
I touched fruit snacks.
Can I put that under taste?
Sure.
Okay.
And that she touched.
Yeah, you touched the cross.
The stick.
So the staff of the cross is a mop handle that Clark found us and repurposed.
Upcycling.
Now that makes sense.
Upcycled,
That makes
way upcycled.
I think that's very appropriate.
Yeah. I touched one of the gift bags that had a present for the
For me?
Anderson Mill giving tree.
They're distributing it.
I touched the raffle tickets that I filled out for the quilt that I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
My turn this year.
No.
It's teal, it's my color.
Oh, it's mine too.
The pattern is seeing stuff. Is that the name of it?
That's correct.
All right. Did you taste anything in worship today?
Cough drop.
I had a cough drop too. Yep. Cough drop, fruit snacks.
I didn't get to say it.
You did? Yeah.
We did earlier.
Anything else that you tasted today in service?
In church.
In church, no,
In
I
church.
had Mr. Goodbar after church, but I can't hear that in church.
If you have it during church, it doesn't count. For like.
Calories.
Calories.
Oh, good to know.
Very
Lots of
good.
gifts.
Anything that you smelled today in worship? Candles,
Perfume.
perfume.
Now.
Doesn't count.
All right, let's move on.
Thank you.
What did you think today in service? So what were kind of those higher kind of intellectual thoughts kind of that were coming up for today's service?
Children's sermon I thought about last week was waiting, and this week it expanded that, we're waiting on the answer.
Yes. In 2 weeks' time, you're gonna hear from John, the very bored wise man.
The relationships, forming relationships.
Yeah.
So much brown you're gonna wear.
Forming relationships.
Speaking of Josh's mention of the immigrants. And the person that had come from Venezuela, that was sort of a strong.
And that was someone that came to breakfast with Santa yesterday.
So they were at breakfast with Santa yesterday, a mother and several children. Two at Anderson Mill, one at Grisham. And 38 days of walking from Venezuela.
Oh.
And did not speak English fluently, but Sue Floyd had a conversation Spanish.
Oh, that's great.
So I was thinking about that, just the idea of here they are, they walk 38 days, do everything that they've had to do to get here. And they land in a community where their kids go to school, not knowing English very well. They go to see Breakfast with Santa and find hospitality in someone that they didn't expect. Just that idea of, that whole thing is thinking about welcome, isolation, we're ready to walk with you.
Yeah.
And that they found hope, I mean, they found a day of, a morning of hope with us at the breakfast meals.
Was she using her phone to translate?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. At the very end, we were kind of wrapping up the crafts and they were in there kind of making an ornament things. And this woman comes up to me with her phone and she flips the screen around and she says, my son really loves those hats. Is there one he could have? And you know, and so, and like, just the look on his face was like, are you serious? You know,
Oh my.
and, but I mean, yeah, I mean, just for us to fully be able to welcome them and for them to trust us enough to come here.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a really intense cultural experience for them.
Well, you're thinking about what Ruth and Naomi what Ruth would be experiencing as a moment in Bethlehem and what Naomi would have been experiencing where they were, just that same sort of, you're not from around here, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's that deep vulnerability.
Yeah, that, the story of Ruth and Naomi brought back the women's Bible study that we did. Kate taught a class for 6 or 8 weeks, which was like an old episode. It's been 3 years ago now, I guess. They've been gone a couple of years at least. But it was really in depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the theme? What about that Bible study was?
It was the theme of I think the vulnerability of the women.
I understand that context, so Ruth was vulnerable in a way. But Naomi also, because she had left as a married woman who was going, you know, and now she comes back as
She had nothing.
someone with no status in the culture.
I thought what it would be like for me to return home where I was born. I don't have any nuclear family there, but extended family, and they all have their lives. And I probably would be in a nursing home with nobody visiting me.
Yeah. Thank you. May I ask where is home?
Oh, San Salvador.
San
San
Salvador.
Salvador. I was born there.
Yeah, I kind of thought in a different direction, that Rita and I had the opportunity to do a 2-year assignment in England. And then a 3-year assignment in France. And I know the word mayonnaise, you know, and cul-de-sac, those are my French. And even in our assignment in England, the first check she wrote was to W.H. Smith, the bookseller, to buy an English dictionary. You know, that's.
Yeah.
Being a transplant even in a common language. So many things, you know, plus we had all these requirements. We had to do this and that.
I didn't go to a foreign country, but I did go to Louisiana. That talk about, yes, it was a bit of a culture shock. The middle of Midwest America.
It was a culture shock to come to Texas.
Yes.
Shock to do what?
Come to Texas.
Come to Texas.
So that feels like it feels like we're kind of, that's a good cusp to begin thinking about what we felt during the service. What did we feel during the service?
Happy.
Yep. What other feeling words?
Belonging. No, it does not.
Belonging,
Warmth.
warmth.
I was also thinking about loneliness, though, you know, like that isolation.
Not wanting to be alone.
Yeah.
I felt welcome.
I felt, last week we watched service from home.
Mhm.
Which is lovely and great, and I always feel like I'm still sort of, haven't missed anything. But it's so much better to be in person,
Yes.
and I don't know, it's all of those things.
Embodied,
Yeah.
kind of being, yeah.
I feel that way if I watch from home, you know. I just miss the group to be there. I watch everything, but still, I just feel I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One, the touch, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt recognized. A lot of people know my name now.
Recognized,
Yeah.
Loved,
Yeah.
just feel loved.
Appreciated.
That, you know, our scripture today talks about names, you know, Naomi said, I will be called from now on by this name Mara, which means
Mara.
bitterness, yeah. In wandering in the wilderness, they the water that they encounter is that brackish water, and it's the waters of Meribah, right? Am I remembering that?
I think so.
And like so when the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness, they're constantly looking for water, and at one point they come to this body of water, but it's salt brackish water, or bitter waters, and they name the place Meribah or Maribah.
I felt a great deal of compassion for Naomi giving up, actually giving up her homeland to stay with her.
That would have been Ruth.
Ruth,
Mhm.
for Ruth to give up.
Yeah.
Coming back,
Yeah,
that's a pretty strong piece of love.
Yeah.
Be able to do that.
But also the other woman, I forget her name. There's one.
Orpah,
Yeah, going back to her roots.
yeah,
That's
And
right.
nobody mentioned that's where Oprah got her name, but it was wrong.
that's right. Yeah. Wasn't it a typo on the birth certificate? It's supposed to be
See,
Or-
if it was supposed to-
Orpah Winfrey.
Orpah.
Oprah.
It's Oprah.
I think the marriage was Oprah.
Yeah,
Oprah.
because there's something like Oprah versus like Orpah. I don't know, just like something on the, yeah.
A little harsher.
Little harsher, yeah. Anything else that you felt today?
Oh, I felt the taste of amaro. Bitter, bitter,
Yeah,
bitter. All amaro too.
Yeah, hear me?
yeah,
I've had to attend virtually the past few weeks, due to my back and all, and like Carla said, it is hard to feel connected when you're watching virtually, but I'm thankful for that experience. And then also, when I saw this morning the invite from Josh to this Sunday school class, having this virtual Sunday school where we do get to talk, that helps me feel connected even when I can't attend in person. And that even though I didn't sign up for this class, that he knows that I'm going to attend from home and that he sends us, those of us that always attend from home, that invite. So it helps us feel belong, like we belong.
I agree. Yeah, that's important.
I'll put connected and thankful.
The verse from Ruth that, you know, I'll go where you go, lodge where you lodge, I will die where you die. That is such a a commitment and belief statement unto itself, human to human. That is, when you compare that with, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. It's just such a powerful, short little verse. Supposedly uttered by an insignificant young widow, but it's always stuck with me.
Yeah,
And
it
it
was that struck me as well about. She chose her mother over remaining in her own community. And one, well, that maybe goes back to the theme. Why would she? I wonder what her situation was that she made that choice and was so with such a powerful commitment to her mother-in-law.
I said, I've moved places to be closer to our grandchildren. It's just sort of a wonder did we do the right thing? I wonder. Of course we did. We're here, but
It's a long walk to Bethlehem to wonder that. Does anyone remember the first reading from Ecclesiastes 4? Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other, but woe to one who is alone and falls, and does not have another to help. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? And though one might prevail against another, two will withstand one. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. It reminds me that both this Ruth and Naomi text and the threefold cord are commonly read scriptures at weddings.
Ooh.
Which is funny because neither of those texts are about.
Right.
But they're love.
neither of them.
Yes.
So,
Yes, say that again.
Neither of those stories are about romantic love.
Yeah.
It's about a sense of commitment and family actually to the mother-in-law. It's talking about, it's talking about like this deep friendship about like, we're trying to keep warm, like we're trying to survive. And it's like, this is the only way we're gonna survive. So it just, I don't know, it's always felt inappropriate to me at a wedding, even though, don't get me wrong, that was ready for weddings. Like that's fine, that's important. But yeah, it's interesting.
The first verse of this, that goes back to not made for solitude.
Would you read that verse for us?
Okay, recall the truth that we once knew. We were not made for solitude. We need communities of faith where we can feel God's warm embrace.
Yeah. Thinking about that reading from Ecclesiastes, two are better than one. Two lie together, they keep warm. Two will withstand one. Why is it suddenly a threefold cord? So it's a braided cord, right? So it's a braid has three strands to it. So what do you think is happening? So we're talking about two are better than one, but why does that finial image have a three?
God is interrelated.
I wondered that.
The Trinity.
I was like, wait.
Trinity, that God is the third. Yeah.
Maybe.
It's kind of like we are greater than the sum of our parts. That like when we are together, we're not just two twisted cords. We are as strong as a third braided, a braided cord. I always thought that was an interesting, we keep talking about twos, but then there's this three. I don't know. Yeah.
Good wedding. Many of y'all remember Alyssa Weiss.
Yeah.
And her wedding here at the church, they had the three-cord ceremony. thank you in the wedding.
Mhm.
And I concur with Crystal, it's not something that I counsel folks to do. But it was important to them and that 3 chord blah, blah, something we did. But it's also represented in other ways, like the sand ceremony and weddings and
Arts and crafts.
arts and crafts.
Yeah.
She also had a llama at her wedding.
She did have a llama.
She had 2 alpacas. Alpacas somewhere.
That's not how I thought that story was gonna end, but like. Yeah, okay. Did the alpacas, okay, I was gonna ask if they had a liturgical component or.
Yeah, they
Dressed up in the same theme as the wedding.
Okay.
They were-
They
they
carried,
were beer
they drank, they
They were what?
carried the backpacks.
My son had beer donkeys.
It's not actually on the church.
Beer donkeys.
What's a beer donkey?
It's a donkey with.
Yes, the
all
little
dressed
backpack
up, whole wedding,
Huh?
matching the theme with the colors and everything. With many filled with ice and beverages. Walking around.
Do you wanna do like a vow renewal ceremony? I mean, 'cause, like, that sounds rad.
It was so perfect.
Okay, I don't know where beer donkey fits on this, but maybe that one will just live in our hearts. All right, so I wanna move us to this noticing. So we have this kind of these like statement of commitment that these scriptures are about this kind of committed love, this kind of deep union almost with each other or with one another. What else did you notice? What stood out or surprised you? Something that came up inside?
I saw the banner that said the word became flesh, like I noticed that one today specifically.
Yeah.
And then I think in that, I was also thinking about when did Christ feel lonely? Seemed like he was surrounded by people often, but it doesn't mean it wasn't lonely.
Yeah. I think about the garden, like the Garden of Gethsemane, and how he's just begging his disciples, like, can you please, like, just stay awake with me, like, be with me, and I don't know, there's always that always feels like such a lonely, yeah.
To go along with what Dr. Kidd said, Ruth's words, were eloquent. They put me in mind of Mary's song after the angel visit. You know, that just the eloquence of those women who, were all that highly regarded.
Yeah. There's something about the way those words land that feels different. Yeah. That's a beautiful connection, yeah.
FYI.
Oh my goodness.
Looking for pictures of them.
Is that here in?
That's spectacular.
Or is it here? What is it? The alpacas.
That's cool.
We'll see.
Anything else that you noticed today?
I noticed how often Josh talked about being alone and being part of community. And I guess not be alone.
Max.
Kind of get it a couple of times.
And Josh said something today, how often, we think we know what a lonely person looks like. But you could have someone who is gregarious and outgoing and real people person, but those vulnerabilities, like Josh said, are masked. And so we don't always know on the surface kind of what someone is carrying around inside. Dr. Brene Brown does a lot of work around loneliness and just that deep epidemic within our culture. And yeah, and I think kind of this sermon coming on the heels of this fall preaching theme, like you belong, like this sense of belonging is this antidote to loneliness, but it does take that that choice to connect with each other, to commit to each other, you know.
Can
That-
I
yeah.
build on that one?
Please.
Yeah, sorry, a little longish.
Oh, no, please.
Like I said, last week, last Sunday, that I am not only a friend to Mercy and a visitor here, but I am also a Catholic. So I want to build on the sense of belonging, because that's what I've noticed in this church, that you are very encompassing in the whole church, as it were. The readings, the people, especially the people, they are very inviting here, you are very welcoming. And so, you know, it kind of erodes the sense of loneliness, because if I didn't come to this church, I don't know any other Catholic church near Mrs. Place. And therefore, you can imagine how lonely I would be. And if this church was not very inviting, I would have chosen to stay in Mrs. Comfort home and not come back here, because I would have thought I'm not invited. So yeah, I just want, I'm not welcome. So I just want to kind of upload the church, as it were. That's what I'm saying. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
I also noticed how much light we have without the windows.
Mhm.
Having been to Bethany for Thanksgiving, there's no window there, absolutely. It's all.
This
indoor.
Bethany?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's sort of this.
Yeah.
It was Thanksgiving, and I felt depressed.
Yeah.
What?
Just a footnote on, looking at the hymnal for Prepare the Way of Zion. It's a Swedish hymn. It's based in the footnote says it's based on an older Swedish hymn, which actually they stole the song from, or the tune from German, so. That activity, back to that, here we are in English.
Yeah.
2020.
Those footnotes don't always jump out at me, but that one, I noticed that one today, yeah.
They're pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Hi.
Can I say how we share with each other?
Yeah.
Or maybe how we stole from each other, but yeah.
Can I say another?
Oh, yes,
I've
please.
noticed that the tag for the response 144 in the Bleak Midwinter is by Christina Rossetti. And I think she's a poet from England, pre-Raphaelite.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
I thought was beautiful.
That is beautiful.
I noticed in the prayer of confession, the idea that we, say it, this idea that we choose not to connect, and that we should choose to connect, and that we can choose to connect, but we make that choice to isolate ourselves, even when we have an opportunity to meet. So the welcome is offered, but we have to accept it. Choose to.
Reach out that
To reach the hand back, to the hand that's offered to you.
I really like the dialogical style of this, like you have the intercessor saying, you know, I'm confessing to you, can you help me? And then the people respond with help. And then the people say, we are in need of help. And then the intercessor, replies back. And so like, there's something beautiful about that dialogue, that style. It feels very, very human.
The imagery about the sarcophagus in the area really set my mind off trying to figure out where, as I've traveled, have I seen anything that even resembles that? And I couldn't come up with anything. I don't know.
That,
Oh,
that was,
You found one?
yeah.
That's
A
what happens.
It's
Well,
there.
no.
well, yeah, sort of. I was talking about, or Alan Graham was talking about the sarcophagus of our homes. The modern day sarcophagus of our home,
Yeah.
where we isolate and kind of leave that. But if you've ever been in New Orleans, or anywhere in the South, almost all of the cemeteries in southern Louisiana are above ground.
Yeah.
And those are tombs that are also kind of modern day sarcophagus. So yeah, I think if you, what calls to mind is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And you go into the cave that's in Jordan, and that's sort of a sarcophagus type place of death, with the sacredness feeling to it as well.
Yeah.
The word sarcophagus literally means flesh eater. And makes me think of the Inside Out series we're doing with the youth group. Sarcasm is like flesh tearing. That's what the word sarcasm means, but sarcophagus is to like flesh eater, like yeah.
Because Jack brought up that last hymn, I just noticed that the lady who wrote it, her name is Claire Cloninger. She was born in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I had acquaintances with her parents. And she was one of the writers of that book, Power and Glory Come, while we were reading.
Wow.
She wrote prolific Christian
Yeah.
music. And she died in 2019. I hadn't realized that.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, yeah, she was.
So I would like to move us to story. Were there any other stories that came up that connected with what we experienced in worship today? Whether stories from your own life, other stories from scripture. I know we've mentioned a couple already, but I just wanted to, any other stories that, yeah, Josh.
I had two that were really fun. On the booth at the Cedar Park Tree Lighting Friday night, the gentleman came up in his 60s or so, and he had said, "This is Hope Presbyterian Church over by that Scottsville Elementary School." And I said, "Yes." Well, my mother was one of the founding members, of the charter members, and I said, "Well, is she still with us?" And he said, "No, she lives in Liberty Hill," which was a confusing answer. But you know, the family's name is on the,
Yeah.
thank you, is on the hanging of the charter members in the sanctuary. And Rudy and Gloria and I were looking through those names this morning, and just that connection, a generational connection and friendship and community relationship that has stood that test of time, that he's excited now to share with his mom that the 50th anniversary is coming up, and they want to make plans to be here for that.
That's cool.
The other one was, we've had a family visiting with us, Rebecca and Rusty, are the mother and father. Rebecca's parents live in Fort Worth and have been watching us online since the first time they came to worship with us. And today was their first chance to be here with a person. And we're super excited to be in the place that they had been watching for a little more than almost 2 months. And get to be here in person and to see everyone in person and to worship alongside with their family. And but in a place where they're, you know, obviously not connected to this community.
Yeah.
Day to day, but have felt very connected online, both through their family and through the worship experience. And so those were two stories from today that I think really elevated my worship experience.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. Any other stories?
I think this story that comes out from the anthem that we sang today, when love came down. I think that is a strong story all by itself.
Well, as Nick mentioned, those were love, peace, hope, and joy are all mentioned in that, so that makes it a Advent kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's you know, when we think about the incarnation and the condescension of God, and I know the word condescending kind of has weird connotation, yeah. But the coming down, the bending low, and there's that God was pleased with us to dwell, and this idea of God tabernacling with us or dwelling with us, and even with it, like just Josh said something in a sermon that he said, you know, God is plural, and in my head I was like, nope, like there's just one. But then there is the three and one. Yeah. So in within the very nature of God is this relationship, is this you know the big word. Thank you for knowing. Yeah. There is the perichoresis of God, which is this that God, the natures of God indwell with each other, and kind of perichoresis means to dance around, right? And so like these three, you know, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, you know, are so entwined and connected with each other, that in that plurality we find the roots of this commitment and connection. And all right, so let's move to our theology. For those of y'all coming to us on online, so when we talk about theology, what I mean there is words that we say about God, or the words that we use to describe God. And so with this one, God ... what words, based on all that we have experienced and reflected on, what then can we say about the nature of God? So it's kind of a fill in the blank. God is, God does. Yeah, what would you say?
God is love.
What else?
Embodied.
What else? Creator.
Mother calls us.
What was that one, Sarah?
Calls us.
Calls us.
With us.
Yeah. That's the Emmanuel, right? God with us. Yeah.
Connector,
What?
connector.
Connected. God is connected.
Thank you. Else. Yes, God is
Everywhere.
God tries to get into the slushy fun with the angels.
the milkshakes that we drink in heaven. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Write it down.
Yeah. God enjoys a good milkshake.
Especially the ones that I make.
Yes, I enjoy those too. All right, so our last category, so what? So as you look back over,
We forgot about.
I know I'm playing for time. As you look at everything that we experienced with our senses, everything we reflected on internally, the stories and connections we made, the words we've said about God. So what? So how are we called to live differently going into this week?
Says to me, so what am I gonna do, Sarah?
Hmm?
So what am I gonna do, Sarah?
So there's a personal question too, kind of a personal.
After all this.
I tend to isolate myself. I didn't go out for 4 days. And this, I was supposed to go out to come here. So I can't do that
Okay.
because then I feel lonely.
Yeah, I think, we all need that permission to take that time that we need for ourselves. And that time to ourselves for some of us is sacred time, it's Sabbath time, it's restorative. But then there are other times when that can be isolating.
Yeah.
And I also want to flip that to the other side is we can always be out and always doing things and being around, and we can be just as lonely.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's something about whether you're with people or not, there's an intention to connect. There is this intention to be in relationship and community that no matter who you're with or around, if you have that intention, but yeah, let me put that up there. So what would you say?
Oh.
To stay connected, to
Yeah.
get out.
To see out, to see the world. And the thing about it is like, I have been to so many places and lived in so many places and always felt comfortable. But sometimes, maybe it's getting older, I get discomfort.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say personally, and I know I'm gonna blend my discomfort with the so what, which is, it takes a lot out of me to risk and to be vulnerable and to be in a relationship with others that I don't want to be dismissive of, and I think that's a so what for me personally, which is to keep putting myself in places to grow, to learn, to share God's love, to risk and be aware that there may just be a surprise for me as much as it may be a surprise for the persons that I get into relationship with. And that's a real hard one for me.
Thank you. Yeah.
I need to own my belief. Sometimes I don't speak up when I should have. Or maybe I speak up when I shouldn't, but not just preaching.
Remember that threefold forward. Yeah, owning our belief, yeah.
And can you say more about that?
I think sometimes I'm in a situation where, as a Christian, I have a different belief system than the other people, but because the majority of them feel one way, I don't feel like I want to rock the boat. I don't want to say, I'm not sure that's right. And sometimes I have the confidence to do that, and sometimes I don't. It just depends on who and where I'm with.
I read a little note that said, if you can't be kind, then learn to be quiet. And I'm trying to live that sometimes, and maybe that's it, and we've talked about that. Yeah, in other words, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, just keep your mouth shut.
I'm glad you put it that way. Is there a difference between kind and nice?
Yeah.
Yes, to be kind.
To be kind versus to be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference.
I think.
I think kind has more intention to it.
Yeah.
Than just being nice.
Yeah, I think when it comes to owning our belief, how do we own that belief in kindness? In love, with the intention to be connected and committed and in relationship to each other, despite those differences. And sometimes that's a two-way street, right? The other party has to be, we hope would be just as committed, which doesn't always happen. But
Yeah,
at least
makes sense.
at the end of the day, if we are kind and we can also own and share what we believe, even though it's different, if we are rejected from that, that's that vulnerability, right? It's opening ourselves up to the possibility we might get hurt. But again, going back to Dr. Brene Brown, that is that vulnerability is what makes us alive. I mean, that's all real relationship requires that. And that's hard. Opening ourselves up to the possibility we might get hurt.
Yeah, there's an energy for me that's required to put myself out there, to go out and make the connections. I need that. I'm not getting enough of that. It drains my energy so that I don't have, it's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I don't have the energy and I need to find it.
Yeah.
I need to find it.
All right, friends. So may this be our charge and benediction for today. In the name of the God of love, who is embodied creator, mother and father, who calls us in community and is in community with us, the connector and who is everywhere. Help us ask these questions of ourselves to get out and see the world, to risk vulnerability, keep putting ourselves in places to learn and grow, to be open to surprise, to own our beliefs, and to find that energy wherever that may be.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for today. We will not have this class next week for Gaudete Sunday or the Festival of Carols, but we will be back on Advent 4.
Yeah.
So thank you all very much.
And today at 5.
And today at 5, Family Advent Celebration, Sunday Night Live.